In this video, I'm going to explain how to disassemble a katana. Maintaining your equipment is an integral part of the discipline in kendo and iaido, whether you're talking about your bogu, your shinai, or your sword. There are very real safety concerns when it comes to equipment in kendo and iaido, including splinters from your shinai, or the sword sliding out of the saya accidentally if you don't maintain the koiguchi properly, or your blade coming loose from the sukkah. So you really have to stay on top of maintenance, both for your own safety and the safety of your dojo mates. When it comes to your sword, there are a handful of reasons why you may need to disassemble it. Two of the most common are, one, to stop your tsuba from rattling, and two is to make sure that the tang of the blade fits securely into the handle, the sukkah. To take the sukkah off the tang, which is called the nakago in Japanese swords, first you'll need to take out the mekugi, the pin that holds the sukkah and the nakago in place. The mekugi is tapered, so make sure you don't force it out the wrong way. There's a miniature hammer designed specifically for taking out the mekugi. You don't necessarily need this tool, but it's nice to have. You should be able to find it at most online budo equipment stores. There's a pin that comes with the hammer. You can unscrew that at the top. And using that, gently tap the mekugi out of the sukkah. And there's the mekugi. So as you can see in this case, the mekugi came out from the omote side to the ura side. Once you've removed the mekugi, you can take the sukkah off the nakago, and please be careful when you're doing this, especially if it's a shinken. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to pay attention to what you're doing when you're dealing with a shinken. If you've taken the sukkah off before, then you should be able to remove it the following way. Hold the sword vertically by the sukkah with one hand, with the blade facing away from you, and then tap that hand downward with the other hand. And then it came loose. What you're doing is using the inertia of the heavy blade to slip the sukkah off the nakago. If this is the first time you're disassembling your sword, you may find that the nakago won't come out very easily. If that's the case, get yourself a small block of wood, and then place the wood against the blade side of the tsuba, then tap the wood block with a hammer, like this. You do not want to hammer on the tsuba directly, because that may damage it. The basic principle remains the same. You want to use the inertia of the heavy blade to work the sukkah off the nakago. Be patient and work from both the omote and ura side if you need to. Once you've removed the sukkah, you can remove the various fittings, including the seppa and the tsuba. And there's another seppa on the habaki side. If your tsuba was prone to rattling during practice, you can either get a thicker seppa, which can be kind of hard to come by if you're outside of Japan, or you can use a piece of paper to create a very thin shim. You can just trace the outside of the seppa and cut out the holes using scissors and an exacto knife. Make sure to cut it a little smaller then the seppa, so that the paper doesn't show when you fit everything back together again. If 2 pieces of paper won't stop your suba from rattling, then there's a possibility that your mekugi might have shrunk. If that's the case, then inspect your mekugi very carefully and make sure that it fits in the hole, the mekugi ana, securely. To put the sword back together again, put back all the fittings. First is the seppa, then the suba, then the other seppa. Then the sukkah. Then hold the sword vertically with the blade facing away from you, and then hit the sukkah gashira. To make sure everything fits back together again. Then you can put the mekugi back into the mekugi ana. Then you can reinsert the mekugi. After you reinsert the mekugi, give it a shake to make sure nothing feels loose and nothing rattles. Before each practice, you should be checking to see if the mekugi fits in the mekugi ana securely. You absolutely, positively do not want your blade flying across the dojo because you didn't check your mekugi. And please remember that videos like this are just a reference, because we often don't have enough time in the dojo to go over all these points. Fundamentally, Budo is transmitted orally from person to person, so you should watch your sensei and senpai carefully, and if you can't figure something out, then you can ask them questions.